In high school, I had this idea that I wanted to become a chef. One day, while working in a restaurant, one of the waitresses ran into the kitchen and says, "Do you know anyone that knows CPR, or does anyone in the kitchen know CPR?" And the answer was no. We were in our, early 20s. No one really knew anything about that. Curiosity got the better of me, and I went out to the dining room, and I saw an elderly gentleman. He was lying on the ground. They thought it might have been a heart attack. So while there were a lot of people that were there that were upset and kind of anxious about the whole scenario, including myself, in walks two police officers. The visual impact they had coming through the door, they looked so professional. They just were so calm, and they just knew what to do. Over the next few weeks and months, I just couldn't get that image out of my head. So I went to my father and I told him, I said, "I think I might try this law enforcement job." I told him it would cost $2,500. And he kind of got deflated a little bit because he didn't have the money. We were never rich growing up. It was either feast or famine most of the time. But that was okay. I figured, well, I'm just going to have to work a little hard here and save that money myself and do what I need to do. But this is something that just wasn't going away. He called me about a week later, and he said, "Stop by the house." So I stopped by the house, and he hands me an envelope, and it was $2,500. Parents really never know what act of kindness or sacrifice they make that's really going to impact their lives of their children forever. My name is Lieutenant Ulysses Freeman, soon to be Chief Freeman. I got the call from Upper Providence in December of 1991.
Freeman started in 91, I started in 92.
When I started in 1994, he was a patrolman, juvenile officer.
Essentially, I was responsible to investigate any and all juvenile activity, whether they were the suspect of a crime or the victim of a crime. I then went to DARE training. I don't know if you remember DARE. So after DARE, I decided that I wanted kind of a new adventure in police work, so I joined the SWAT team. It was definitely a highlight of my career. During that time, we got to travel to California and train with the Special Enforcement Bureau, which is the LA Sheriff's Department SWAT team, which is a full-time team. Got to travel to England to train with one of their SWAT teams. Anything we learned when we traveled abroad like that or across the country, we would always bring back and share the information with the rest of the team to see if there's any techniques or tactics that we could use that they were using that were successful.
He's the type of guy who shares his knowledge. He believes that it's his job to teach the people under him to replace him, and he's done an excellent job.
There was a lot of things we were able to bounce off each other as we matured through the department, learned our experience. We were able to understand where we needed to be as supervisors and leaders in the department.
So after the SWAT team, I decided that I wanted to go back to school.
I've seen how hard he's worked. I've seen him put himself through school, get a master's degree, go to the FBI National Academy.
Throughout the years, I got promoted to corporal and then sergeant. When Chief Toomey came on board, I got promoted to lieutenant.
When I came to this department, Lieutenant Freeman was a sergeant, and I quickly came to realize his abilities. And in July of the first year that I was here, promoted and appointed Lieutenant Freeman to the position of lieutenant. And he's been my second command ever since.
The way he mentored me and really brought me along is something that will last with me forever, and something I plan on doing for the next lieutenant once I'm promoted to chief.
I've been advocating for Lieutenant Freeman to be the chief after me for a long time. I just recognize his ability is on par, if not greater than most. He has all the tools to do this job. He will be an outstanding police chief, I can assure you.
Oh, this is an excellent step forward for the department, for the township, for the community. He's going to be the sort of the captain of the ship and steer us in the right direction.
I know that he's a dedicated believer, like most modern chiefs, in following the 21st century policing plan, supporting those pillars, working on diversity, retention of officers, training.
Part of it is going to be continuing what we're doing now. I think that Chief Toomey has really set a great tone for our department, a great direction. We have body cameras already, and the body cameras have been a big conversation, especially in the last year and a half. We've had in-car cameras for a long time, but clearly police work is really organic. It always has been, but it truly is organic now, and it's changing rapidly. So we really need to continue to focus on what those changes are to ensure that we are where we should be in all of these categories that are controversial at the moment.
He's really focused on bringing relevant and realistic training to the entire department.
You hear about de-escalation. You hear a lot of talk about that today.
De-escalation. What we've seen, at least over the last year and a half, through the media, that a lot of those contacts end violently, where the suspect is severely injured or killed.
And I think that you're going to see more and more training in those areas as law enforcement moves forward.
The tools and technology that really allows us to use a less lethal option, to allow our officers to really have a plethora of options for when they're dealing with certain situations, to ensure as best we can that the outcome is really going to be a good one for everybody involved. One of the programs that I'm considering is a citizen advisory board, where we would go out into the community and we would ask people to join our board. The idea is to discuss the police department, discuss any problems or issues or things that they would like to see implemented, to really open the dialogue and continue this great relationship that I think that our police department already has. I want other agencies to look at Upper Providence and say, that's the standard I want for my police department.
I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and place your left hand on the Bible.
Parents really never know what act of kindness or sacrifice they make. That's really going to impact their lives of their children forever.
Repeat after me. I, Ulysses Mark Freeman,
I, Ulysses Mark Freeman. That $2,500 set me on a path of now 30 years later and on the verge of becoming the next chief of police of Upper Providence Township, that I will support, obey, and defend. And I told my father that story this year, and when I told him that I was going to be the next chief of Upper Providence, he was suffering from pneumonia, and he turned to me in tears, started coming down his eyes, started crying. He was really happy.
and that I will discharge
And that I would discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office. I was just very happy that I was able to at least share the news with him.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.